Boogie Beatdown coming at you, Paul, Cody. UFC Vegas 10 or 110 picks and bets. Garcia versus Onama from the Apex. And I mean, we bet and break down some of the lower level of regional stuff, APFC, karate combat. Sometimes BKFC gets real greasy. So there's a lot of conversation about this card being low level and so on and so forth. And it's just like, try me. Like, there's nothing too low for me to bet on. You just have to always factor in like some risk when you're like, do I really want to let X fighter ruin my weekend, ruin my life? Like there is a bit of a value assessment to be had, but I'm a degenerate. I'm going to be betting on this thing. You?
I've come to realize, Paul Shaughnessy, that life is all about perspective. And when you think about this, if you were to close your eyes for a second and you were to just reimagine that this card was actually instead called LFA 224 or PFL 2025 World Championship 6. Well, they have the worst naming conventions. By that standard, this would be a fine card. By the comparison that it's a UFC and you're expecting a lot more, then no, not since Pally Holohan headlined against Lewis Smolka in Ireland have you seen a card this bad. And that card was at least supposed to have Dustin Poirier versus Duffy on it, but unfortunately got scrapped. This just it's essentially Dana White's Saturday Night Contender Series, where everybody here's job is essentially at risk. There's only, I think, 4 fighters on the entire card that are ranked. And they're ranked, well, I mean, the women's fight, they're ranked a little higher. But in the men's division, Steve Garcia and David Onama are both outside the top 10. They're at least top 15 ranked guys. And that's it. Everybody else is either over the hill or a prospect-ish or someone who's got a losing record with the promotion that could use a bounce up. So I get it. If you're looking at it like, oh, we're coming off a UFC pay-per-view with some big names and some big talents, and now you're getting this. Yeah, this is a whole lot of jobs on the line. Another thing I noticed from last week, right? When you're watching these fights, as at Maxim, he falls to 15-3, but it's a really bad fight. They cut him afterwards, and then no more for us. And Chris Barnett, they're like, no more for us. And the guy that beats him, Hamdi, no more for us. And Gelton Almeida, his coaches cut him. His coaches are like, you can't come back. You're done, dude. There's looking to shake up the roster with bad performances. A lot of these guys, your job's on the line constantly every fight. And when you look at this card, Jeremiah Wells, Themba Gorimbo, Isaac Dulgarian's underperformed, Charles Radtke and Daniel Frunza, Cody Durden, he's 6-6 with the UFC. This Kevin Christian, I don't even know why they gave him a contract in the first place. Timmy Cuamba, he's on the fence. Cedric Dumas, shocked he's still with us. Donte Johnson's had to drop down 2 weight classes to make this thing happen. Elise Ardelean, Montserrat Ruiz, but she's still on the roster. You're kidding me. Yeah, it's rough goings, but yeah, there's a couple fights I like from a betting perspective. So like you said, let's just rock and roll, get some winners, make this one a fun one.
Yeah, I can't wait until David Onama misses weight and it's Cortes-Acosta versus Delija. 3-round main event because they weren't given advance notice. But I mean, they signed like 50 people on Contender Series. This is where the thinning of the herd kind of starts happening, right?
Yes.
It's a yearly occurrence in the UFC. So yeah, there's fights on TV. There's things I can bet. I'll be watching. I'll be playing. But main event action, we've got Steve Garcia taking on David Onama. Garcia's like a minus 130 favorite. The comeback on Onama is like plus 110, plus 120, depending on where you're shopping around. Quickly, before I hand it off over to you, I think Onama maybe has a little bit of a grappling advantage. And he's been knocked down in a bunch of fights. He's been hurt in a bunch of fights, but I haven't actually seen him finished in those fights. 5-round fight, if this happened to get there, which I don't really think would happen. I suppose I would probably lean towards Steve's gas tank to hold up. If we get into rounds 3, 4, and 5, as his price of minus 130, I lean towards Steve, but we have seen him absolutely flatlined. But I think the best win on either one of these guys' records, best performance on either one of these guys' records, in my opinion, was Steve against Cater last time out. And you may say that like Cater was, kind of washed and everything like that, but Steve really put it on him, and it wasn't particularly close. Steve is the side for me. What about you?
Yeah, Steve is like the comeback kid, man. And this guy's completely reinvented himself, being that he used to just be a bottom of the barrel fighter within the division. And then since then, I mean, he's got on a solid winning streak where he continuously gets better and better. He's fought as low as 135, he's fought as high as 155. But now at 145 pounds, he really seems to have found his home. 6 feet tall, big, tall guy, southpaw, constantly coming forward. And if you're not icing him, he's going to make it a problem for you. Now, a lot of the times with these guys that are their first round finishes, right? Always getting it done early, that you got to wonder, what if he gets extended? And I've wondered two things with Steve. One, what's he going to look like if he gets extended? And two, how bad in actuality is his chin? Because although he doesn't show knockout losses for the most part, he does, Mahashat. He got knocked down twice by Charlie Ontiveros, knocked out by Mahashat, but knocked down twice in that fight, knocked down by Shaolin Nurmbayaki. So if your chin's not that good and you're constantly trying to make this a dogfight and coming forward, it's going to be a problem. But I think he answered those questions in that fight that you mentioned, the Calvin Kattar fight, where for the first time, he doesn't just get a first round knockout. He doesn't just get a quick second round knockout. This thing goes a full 3 rounds, and Calvin Kattar's never been knocked out. Calvin Kattar's never been knocked down. He lost his fight to Arnold Allan due to TKO, but that was an injury, right? Like, this guy's cast out. Steve put him down. Didn't knock him out, but Steve managed to get a knockdown over Calvin Kattar. His power is legit. Big for the weight class, like I said. I think he's got higher volume in this instance than Onama, and the fact that it's a 5-round fight, I think that does play in his favor. Again, if he's going to get knocked out, he's going to get knocked out early. Like, David Onama does have a certain degree of power, and a lot of his knockouts, especially on the regional scene, before coming to the UFC, they are first-round knockouts. His win over Gabriel Benitez, he's losing the first round, getting it at work until he lands that kill shot. His fight with Nate Landwehr, I mean, he's beating him up pretty good for the first 2 rounds till he runs out of steam. And that's kind of when I start focusing on. Even in his last fight against, 2 fights back against Roberto Romero. Roberto Romero scores a knockdown in the first round. So Steve's got more than enough firepower to hurt him. I seen him tire out in the Jonathan Pierce fight. He tired out in the Nate Landwehr fight for sure. Even in the Roberto Romero fight, he's huffing and puffing. He just knows that Romero's way more tired than he is. Now, since he's left James Krause, his cardio's gotten a little bit better being at Factory X Muay Thai, but he's still not a cardio guy. He's never had to fight 5 before. So there's a lot of advantages here for Steve. He's got the size advantage, he's got the cardio advantage, he's got the output advantage. Is that it is possible that if he's going to get knocked out, it's going to happen in the first round and a half. So I think Steve's a good live bet opportunity as well. If he can survive the first round or 2, that's fine. He'll work his way back into it. But it's a big if, because Onama hits sufficiently hard, as Steve has had potentially durability issues at times in the past. I think he's overcome it. I think he wins this fight. But it may be a war of attrition for the first couple rounds, get out of them, and then really start to put that pace on and break him down, outwork him. I think that's what he ends up doing. I got Steve Garcia, but not super comfortable with it. And he is the pick, though.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of fights on this card that you're not going to feel super comfortable
Almost
with.
all of them, yeah.
Yeah, most of them. Ante Delija takes on Waldo Cortes-Acosta. A little bit of steam's been coming in on Ante, who has turned into the fave at like minus 130. The comeback on Waldo plus 110-ish. Where are you at with the co-main?
Yeah, I went the other way here and took Waldo Cortes-Acosta, and I want to say, it's just dogger pass, and we're going to get some plus money, and they're middling heavyweights, and although all of that is true, it's not really underdog. He's like plus 110, plus 115. It's close to an even money fight, but again, when I look at Ante, it's easier to get behind the flavor of the week, right? And a heavyweight will debut, and he'll win, and he looks good, and all of a sudden you're talking about top 5 or top 10, and they mentioned him at the press conference this past weekend about, well, would you fight Ante for the title? Like, is this guy in title conversations already? He's got 1 fight in the UFC. What do you mean? What do you mean? Would he fight Tom Aspinall? He's not ranked, as far as I'm concerned, as like an elite guy quite yet. But they're talking about it, and he's Aspinall's training partner, and similar to Aspinall in his own way. So when he wins in the first round. If you can extend him, he's got problems throughout the board. Now, okay, his last 2 fights, Marcin Tybura and Yorgan De Castro in the regional, first round knockouts, looks good. Let's just peel back the onion a little bit and look at the other stuff. This Valentin Moldavsky fight. So it's not that Moldavsky's not a good fighter. But Moldavsky can't bust a grape. Like, quite literally, he doesn't knock out anybody. He's got 2 knockout wins in his professional career. Ernest James, who was 1-0 and never fought again. And Ante, who he just walked right through. Dog walk. Jab, stiffens him up against the cage, hits him with a couple shots, knees him in the face, and then he just gets to a knee and quits on himself. Weird. The Maurice Green fight. He went the distance with Maurice Green just 2 years ago. If that's not problematic enough, he lost the first round on all 3 judges' scorecards to Maurice Green. And then Maurice tired and he took over. Hit both of his losses to Bruno Capoloza. The first one, he was a minus 550 favorite, got knocked out in 46 seconds. And Bruno's a career light heavyweight, not that big of a guy. I don't think he was ever an elite heavyweight. Now you come to the UFC because the division features guys like Hamdi and Chris Barnett, and just like the absolute worst guys are in the heavyweight division. So yes, he comes in and they run back the fight with Tybura and he just bomb rushes him. Fight starts, he throws a 10-punch combination, rocks Tybura. Tybura clinches him up against the cage. He separates, he rocks him again. That's the end of the fight. He'll probably try to do exactly that here. Bum rush him, just like Aspinall. Finish this thing in the first round. It's what he's been doing. It's what the fans like. The UFC gave him a $50,000 bonus after his last one. Good, I'm going to go ahead and do it again. And that's where it becomes a problem. Waldo's never been finished in an MMA fight, ever.
Boxing, right? He has 2021.
But. Yes, and guys, yeah, you're right. He has been finished twice in boxing, maybe 3 times in boxing. But those are 3, 4, 5-round fights against heavyweights that I believe were all undefeated at the time of him fighting them. And he loses those, sure. To me, when I see him in MMA, it's like he's got a style where you need to fight 15 minutes. He's fast with his jab. He's got pretty well the same proportions as Ante. He's 6'4" with a 78-inch reach. I think it's just an inch taller with the same reach or something like that. Defensively, he does a good job of covering up. He just took Pavlovich 3 rounds, and Pavlovich is one of the hardest hitters in the division, who's known for a string of first-round knockouts as well. Grappling has gotten better. Not that Ante is going to shoot takedowns. I think that Acosta will be able to stuff takedowns and maybe try to mix it into his own. But it's all about just surviving that first round, starting to slow this guy down, get that jab working, get those low kicks going, extend him. And for all the people that were critical of Tom this past weekend, the longer Tom went, we discussed this when we broke down the fight, the longer it goes, the greasier it's going to get. This one's going to be the same thing. Ante's been winning early. The longer you can extend him, I think that's where you're going to start to see Waldo start to work his way back into this thing. And not only that, seeing Valentin Moldavsky knock him out, I'm certain that Waldo could also knock him out. I will take a war of attrition. I wins round 2 and 3 and wins this decision, but I'll gladly also take a knockout in the first or second to do things on the table. So I'm going to take
what is Waldo knockout price? Because he's not typically he's not typically that kind of guy, but I'm sure the totals are probably it's 2.5. Round 2.5 is the total on this fight. Let me just go up here. So much going on the screen. It's tough to isolate it. I tend to agree. I don't know if I've really ever bet Waldo, to be perfectly honest. Haven't been too impressed with him, but like he hung in there. Yeah, it was plus 360 at one book. Yeah, which is quite a bit wider than the rest of the market right now, but kind of shows you where the market's going. But plus 350 at DraftKings as well, for our American friends, Ontario and American friends. I don't hate that. I think early on, Delija is going to come out hot, but I mean, Cortes-Acosta just went the distance standing with Pavlovich, and like, in my opinion, my humble opinion, Pavlovich probably just absolutely ices Delija in the first round. Credit where credit's due. I was on Tybura against Delija last time out, and
so was I. It was
got absolutely flatlined, and it was an embarrassing pick in hindsight. But that's what happens in heavyweight. You pick a side, and a lot of times you look like a complete moron when you lose. But plus money side, Cortes-Acosta. Don't hate the KO prop there, especially as it continues to grow over the course of the week, because it doesn't seem like there's any steam coming on that. We'll see where it lands a little bit later in the week, but probably something that I'll take a poke at.
Ante's got 6 career losses, 5 of them inside of the distance, right? Including a 46-second knockout loss to a light heavyweight. He was a 6-1 favorite over, and in the first fight against Tybura, he busted his leg a minute and a half in. Costa's got the durability, so this is another fight I'm looking at from a live perspective that if we just get out of this first round, he starts to slow, that's when those punches will land. Pavlovich took a bunch of good shots from Costa. That right hand was on point. The jab was pretty good. It's just that guy's a brute. And I very much agree with your point. If this was Ante versus Pavlovich, we'd be sniffing out first round KO props for the Russian. Instead, you've got Acosta. He's not the same level of power puncher, so he may drag this out a little bit, but I think he finds it at some point regardless.
All right, we got Themba Gorimbo taking on Jeremiah Wells. Themba's like a minus 140 favorite to come back on Wells, plus 120-ish. Jeremiah Wells, whenever I watch him, it's just like he's pretty reckless, pretty wild. He may have a submission grappling advantage in this fight, but for what Themba lacks, I feel like he's a much more well put together fighter at this stage in his career, at really any stage of Jeremiah's career. Longer, uses the long range weapons a little bit better. You can grapple a little bit. 5 years younger. He's finally got like half decent training conditions. And I mean, Jeremiah Wells is 39 years old at this point in time. So the best performances are probably behind him. Themba's the side for me. Where are you at with this fight?
Yeah, I took Themba as well. I wanted to like Jeremiah, kind of like you said. He definitely has a submission grappling advantage. He's a BJJ black belt. Guy's very strong. And for a guy that's as heavily muscled as he is, his cardio is pretty solid. His wrestling's solid enough. His jiu-jitsu's really good. He's extremely explosive. But he just wings. Like, I don't know who's working mitts with him, but there's no way that that's what the session looks like. Like, he just explodes with this crazy, wild winging hook combination, 2, 3, 4 wild punches. Then he throws an uppercut underneath it. It looks like BKFC Ice Wars. And then eventually, well, what are you supposed to do? So you constantly back up. You're trying to evade. You hit the cage. And then he loves just shooting double legs off the cage. I don't know that his cardio is all that good. I think he's running into some issues. As much as I think that he's a better grappler than Themba, and a version of him that's, let's consider a prime version, probably gives Themba all sorts of trouble. I don't really know what version of Jeremiah Wells we're going to have show up. And what I mean by that is when you watch him versus pretty well most of these guys, him versus Blood Diamond, he goes 1 for 5 on takedowns. That's not a good look. But he got that one takedown and then he smashed him after that, right? Him versus Matthew Semmelsberger, he's getting nuked on the feet. He got dropped twice. He got wobbled 4 times. But he's able to go 6 for 10 on takedowns and rack up 11 minutes of control time. Against Semmelsberger, he shot the 11 takedowns. In his fight against Carlson Harris, he goes 3 for 5. It's all wrestling. It's all grappling. Both of those fights he tires, but that's his style. And then for whatever reason against Max Griffin in his last fight, he didn't shoot anything. Well, he went 1 for 2. But you normally shoot 5 to 10 takedowns all the time. You normally rack up 8, 9, 10 minutes of control time on the ground in all your fights. Did someone get in your ear? Are you worried that the wrestling is just becoming too difficult cardio-wise? Do you have these nagging injuries? He fought Max Griffin unlike he had ever fought before. And it was not a great performance. He ends up losing a split decision, but I thought he won. I thought he won rounds 1 and 2. They ended up giving rounds 1 and 3 to Griffin, which is fair. Pretty close fight. But like nothing really went on. Here's my issue after that, okay? So you change your style for this Griffin fight. You lose. Then you're booked against Nico Price, which he pulls out of due to injury. Then they booked him in May against Andreas Gustafsson, which he pulls out due to injury. And now quietly, it's been 2 years. It's not fought going on 2 years. He's turning, we're filming this on Wednesday. He turns 39 years old tomorrow on Thursday. Not enough things are going his way here, right? 39, 2-year-long layoff. Cardio is probably not going to be as good as it used to be. His wrestling game, although it's able to be worked against guys like Matthew Semmelsberger, clearly not even willing to grapple against Max Griffin. Going to be a problem against a guy like Themba Gorimbo. Yeah, I can't get behind Wells. The other thing when you look at this matchup is Wells is, because how's he going to win this fight? Either he just lands a lucky punch or he gets to his grappling and he shows up in career best shape, which all of things I highly doubt. But he's 5'9", right? Themba Gorimbo is 6'1", and Themba Gorimbo loves to fight exclusively in the clinch. I watched back him versus Ramiz Brahimaj. He doesn't score really 5 takedowns at all. right? It's Rami Brahimaj shoots 5 takedowns, and Themba reverses him every single time. He's very strong in the clinch. And he's raw. Striking's not that good. He's got a 77-inch reach, but he has no idea what distance management is whatsoever. He generally just punches his way into the clinch and then loves clinch warfare up against the cage. Wells would like to fight that type of fight as well, but being that he's 5'9" against 6'1", the leverage is going to be here for Gorimbo. Wells is, again, turning 39. He's not fought in 2 years. The difference here, too, is that Wells hasn't fought in 2 years because of injuries. Gorimbo hasn't fought in a year since he fought Vicente Luque, right? But that I don't think was injury related. That was, you need time to just develop. You're very green. You're very raw. The Rock bought you a house. MMA Masters is letting you train there. You're doing all the right things, but you need some time to develop. So I'm expecting a better version of Themba Gorimbo than we've seen in the past, versus a version of Jeremiah Wells that they probably told him, listen, man, we're looking to cut guys off the roster. You've not fought in nearly 2 years. You've lost your last 2 fights. You've pulled out of the last 2 fights we've offered you. It's about to get choppy here. Okay, I'll take it. I'll jump in there against Themba Gorimbo, someone I think that they may potentially be looking to, market somehow. It doesn't matter. None of the narrative stuff matters. It's just the matchup itself is going to take place in the clinch. I want the bigger man. I want the younger man. I want the fresher man. Themba Gorimbo. So this would be a greasy-ass decision, very likely. But I want Themba.
Yeah, Gorimbo decisions like plus 275 out there. I don't hate that.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all.
We got Dulgarian taking on Yadier DelValle. Dulgarian's the favorite. A little bit like action has definitely came in over the course of the week on Dulgarian. He's like minus 250, minus 230-ish. Come back on DelValle plus 210 or so. Here's the thing. Dulgarian, I don't think he's ever lost a first round. So he's going to come out. He's probably going to get that wrestling going. DelValle's got this issue where it's like he likes jumping guillotine. And I don't think it's necessarily going to work. And he's going to give bottom position to Dulgarian. But if Dulgarian doesn't get him out of there earlier, Dulgarian runs a pace. I don't think he's, like, historically, he's kind of shown that he really can't keep a certain type of pace over the course of 3 rounds. He definitely slows down. And I think, Yadier DelValle is a problem. I think he's a very violent dude, a guy who's not going to give up over the course of 3 rounds. But round 1's going to be rough. So it's like, why jump in on a plus 205 right now when he's going to be plus 400 if he gets out of round 1? The guy's 9-0. He's never been finished. His sub prop, I mean, it's pretty wide. So it's like, maybe an only human type of bet on that, like pre-flop. There's 10 plus 1048 that kind of keeps growing. I mean, at a certain number, it's just like maybe he jumps that guillotine and it works, and he catches Dulgarian being like, too zesty, too aggressive, chasing the takedown. It's possible, but for the purpose of the show, dog or pass, but it's more of a fight that I want to see Dulgarian probably come out, dominate early, and I may snap up DelValle in like round 2, late in round 2. It's easy. It's such a cop-out to say that. Like, that's why I make the pick of DelValle for the purposes of this show, but I'm not rushing to grab him pre-flop at plus 205. If he gets a first round finish, well, then I miss it. It is what it is. But dog or pass for me. What about you?
Yeah, I got Isaac Dulgarian, but I will agree with the assessment of he's way too one-dimensional to have any type of real faith in. So as much as I am playing him, I can't really put him all the way at the top, even though he's a minus 250, simply because he's really only proven to have the wrestling. He's an excellent wrestler. His credentials are well-known, comes into the MMA, and everything's been a first-round finish. As an amateur, he fought 4 times, documented 4 times, and he finished all 4 guys in the first round. In his pro career, his 5 or 6 fights he had before coming to the UFC went 5-0, all first-round finishes. His UFC debut against Francis Marshall is a first-round finish. So as Paul's saying, this guy's never lost first round, and he looks tremendous. It's that fight with Christian Rodriguez. On a lot of people's scorecards, he's up 20-17 going into the 3rd round. Mm-hmm. He's 10-8'd Rodriguez. The 2nd round, he starts to slow. He still wins the round. And the third round, he definitely tires out and he loses the third round. The bare minimum, he should have got a draw. Still an argument he won the fight, or gets a draw. But no, they score for Christian Rodriguez. I think that taught him a lot. That's the first time he'd been outside of the first round before. He had to go 3 rounds. And he looked pretty decent he looked really good in the first, decent in the second, fell apart. I feel like he's learned from that. He's only fought really once since. It's Brendan Marat. It's an easy layup. And instead of smashing Marat in the first round, it's an easy layup. Why not? He kind of just took a very smart approach. Didn't play around striking at all. First 5 seconds of the round, he's shooting takedowns. He gets on top of him. He establishes dominant position, and he just methodically works his ground and pound. He methodically breaks this guy up. And he methodically goes into the second, and he just right back to the same thing. So to me, the Christian Rodriguez fight is a great learning experience. You're not just going to smash everybody in the first round. Your wrestling is not just always going to get you through to the other side. Sometimes you need some other attributes, but Factory X Muay Thai guy, trains at altitude. I think his cardio is improving, getting more cage time, more experience. That's all good. When you look at Yadier DelValle, it's not just that he's pulling guard on these guillotine chokes, is that he's not trying to defend takedowns really at all. If you watch his fight with Pena Alamov, he loses the first round against Pena Alamov. This fight was literally a year ago. It was last June. Drops the first round to Alamov. I almost catches him in a guillotine at the end of the round. But outside of just catching a guillotine, you're giving up top control. His fight with Antonio Montero, he gave up a lot of control time up against the cage, got taken down once. These are low-level guys. Now you're taking on someone like Dulgarian that's going to chain wrestle you. He's going to shoot 10 or 15 takedowns. If you're constantly pulling on guillotines, probably just going to constantly put yourself in a bad position. This guy's working his ground and pound. He's working holding guys down. He's working his cardio. It's just not a great style clash. I personally am a big Dulgarian fan, and I am picking Dulgarian. Don't like the money line, but it's not enough for me to switch to the other side. So I'm taking Isaac. I'm taking him by decision. I got enough respect for Yadier to think that he's going to get taken down and controlled. Hold on. He's undefeated, as you mentioned. His cardio seems pretty okay. Well, his cardio seems okay, but again, I've seen him gas in this Antonio Montero fight and the Pena Alamov fight. So gas is relative. Both guys are gassed, but I wouldn't say he's got a cardio edge over Dulgarian. So Dulgarian just wins 2 of these 3 rounds and holds on like he did against Rodriguez. Hopefully they get the decision right this time and he gets his hand raised.
Fair play. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We've got Charles Radtke taking on Daniel Frunza. Radtke, a -160 favorite to come back on Frunza, +140. What do you think?
Probably dog or pass. I'm very tempted to take the dog play here on Frunza, and it's very scary to me because he's not good. But maybe it's just a matchup of both guys have an equal chance of winning this. When you watch Daniel Frunza on the regional scene, he cannot grapple. You take him down, he will give up his back and get subbed. But the last number of fights, he's just blood and guts. Come forward, exchange in the pocket, throw heat. He's got some okay wins. Jalen Fuller on the regional scene on LFA 164, first round knockout. Nice knockout. Harris Talsudic, same thing. First round, he wins, backing him up. Second round, he gets taken down. Not such a great look. Third round, he goes back to backing him up, and he ends up getting a knockout there as well. His cardio checks out. He's constantly coming forward. He throws very straight punches while just moving forward the entire time and just makes it a blood and guts type fight. But Harris drops him with a knee. And in that Riz McKee fight his last time out, he gets dropped 3 times. His chin is not great, and he fights with his hands low, marching forward. So we've been seeing a lot of spinning elbows work lately. This is the kind of guy that would work on perfectly. He's going to charge forward with his hands down. You just step off and you throw a spinning back elbow. He's there to get hit. He's there to get dropped with stuff. But Riz McKee keeps dropping him. He keeps getting back up. That fight gets stopped because his eyes swollen shut, not because he says, I can't continue. In fact, the end of the first round ends, he throws a 4-punch combination, lands a good right hand, and is feeling good. Then the doctor stops it. So he's the kind of guy that you had better put away. If you don't, it'll be just like his Contender Series fight against that Vadim Kutsi, where Kutsi wins the first round, takes him down a couple times, and then Frunza keeps getting up. When he gets up, he goes right back to just brawling in the pocket, which is very taxing on a lot of these guys. He ends up tiring Kutsi out, gets the win there. I think against Charles Radtke, his problem is Radtke's got fast hands and a big left hook. So Radtke's capable of just, knocking him out in the first round. It's if you can get him outside of the first round, Radtke tends to slow big time because Carlos Paredes gets knocked out at the tail end of the round. Against Mike Maloney, gets knocked out first thing into the second round. A lot of these fights that he's had on the regional scenes that start to go longer. Against Blood Diamond, Mike Mathetha, he just spammed cage control against him the entire time. Couldn't really get him down, just held him up against the cage. The place is booing, and he's like, I don't care, I don't care. Since then, he tries to brawl in the pocket here and there, but his win condition on the vast majority of his career fights is a first-round knockout. When you look at the size difference on this one, Charles Radtke stands 5'9", right? It's like Frunza coming in at 6'1". They have the same reach. But Frunza at 6'1" is a big guy. That left hook had better fold this dude in the first round. If it does not, Frunza's going to punch him up and win this fight by TKO because he's the underdog. And it's like, not that I wouldn't bet Radtke, but I wouldn't bet Radtke at minus 160. You'd have to be like minus 125, minus 130. Maybe minus 140 would be like as much as I'm willing. Nah, not even then, really. This is punchy kicky. It's going to be an absolute car crash type of fight. Someone's not wearing a seatbelt, and they're going to get ejected right through the windshield. I think Frunza could pull this thing off. So, yeah, give me the underdog on Daniel Frunza.
Yeah, I'm not laying chalk on Radtke minus 160 in a striking delight fight in most scenarios. They're going to exchange bows and give me the plus 140 in a car crash type of fight. Moving on down, we've got Allan Nascimento taking on Cody Durden. Nascimento minus 250 favorite to come back on Durden plus 210. Durden stepping up on short notice in this spot. Who is Nascimento supposed to fight in this spot? I don't have Tapology open because Tapology has too many ads, so I can't really use it on content. It's just kind of a disaster over on that website. I understand why they do it, but the problem with all these other sites is that they don't say Rafael Estevam. Estevam wasn't gonna make 125 pounds anyway, so that fight was gonna get canceled on fight day. So shouts to Cody Durden for stepping up and then to take this fight on short notice, because Estevam was gonna show up, 5 pounds overweight, and then the fight was gonna get canceled on fight day because that's what Rafael Estevam does. Another fight where it's like Nascimento super, super low volume, but Durden comes out and puts it on you early. So is he going to fall right into like the submission game of Allan Nascimento clears everything Durden is able to do? But Durden's going to come out and try to make this thing a dogfight early. I just think that Nascimento's submission game is just so much better. Eventually, he entangles him, finds a limb or the neck, and finds a submission here. What's your take?
Yeah, I was super tempted to take Cody Durden, to be honest with you. It's a flyweight fight, and this is a pretty sizable underdog. Durden's got that dog in him, but more so than that, it's just like you said with Allan Nascimento being that he's low volume. So he's not somebody that, especially standing, you ever seen him in a prolonged standing exchange? No. He throws okay punches, knees up the middle, quick elbow, but everything he throws is because I'm throwing to close distance into a clinch to try to get this fight to the ground. But his wrestling's not that good. He's got 24% career takedown accuracy. He's never scored more than 2 takedowns in a fight before. And with Cody Durden being a former state champion wrestler out of Georgia, with Cody Durden having mixed it up with some of the best guys in the division, if Durden had a very well put together game plan that was sprawl and brawl this guy, don't try to take him down, clearly, but just don't let him take you down. Then you've got maybe better striking than him. You've got more volume than him. You got that dog in you. It's that you need to just stuff the takedowns. This guy's got 24% takedown accuracy, and he's going to shoot 10 of them on you. So by the numbers, he may get 2. If you just really show up with a lunchbox, really snuff these things out, really mind your P's and Q's, then why not? In his last fight against Jafel Filo, he only got the 1 takedown. What he would do is Jafel Filo would take him down, and then Filo would go for the back take, and Filo would go a little too high. He'd sneak at the back. He'd take you down. Not take you down. He would just reverse position, get up on top. And that was pretty much the end of it. So he relies on maybe you trying to instigate some of these grappling exchanges. Other guys like Carlos Hernandez or maybe a Jake Hadley, they're just not good enough of wrestlers to do anything about it, right? Maybe Durden could fight that real smart game plan. But reason I'm not going with that is, one, this is Durden on short notice. Smart game plans. He never fights smart game plans. He's a dog, and he wants a dog fight. And he could be beating him to the punch. He's got Nascimento hurt. Oh, that right hand did real good. And then he'll get overzealous. If he was to get a knockdown, he'd jump on top. If you throw out 2 wild punches, it allows the guy to duck under and get to your hips and get the takedown. And all Nascimento needs is a couple takedowns. Once he gets Durden down, Durden ain't going absolutely nowhere. This guy's control time is second to none. Yeah, the short notice, the lack of a proper game plan.
It's a catchweight fight too.
Yeah, I want to ask about that because Durden doesn't mind stepping in short notice.
Probably 130. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, the exact weight, but
well, Durden's 1-4 over his last 5 fights. The one win was against Matt Schnell on short notice at 135 pounds. He's a big flyweight, and short notice and having to cut weight is going to hurt him. Paul says it's catchweight. It probably is. Let's say it's
UFC website or UFC stats.com says catchweight.
Yeah, I don't doubt it is because it's short notice and
probably
Durden
130
has to cut quite a bit of weight. But yeah, listen, my main points, which I've already mentioned, which is the short notice and potentially late weight cut and the lack of a game plan. But the last thing I will say is in all of his fights, he's either trying to take you down or you're trying to take him down. The only fight that wasn't the case is when he fought Rolly and Pava on the Contender Series, and he actually showed plenty of striking in that fight. Just the guy's got really high ring IQ. If he doesn't need to throw punch kicks, he won't. He can. He doesn't really look to do that as his primary thing. So he'll look to take Durden down. And if he can, I think he's got a plan B here that he can switch to. It's just for a flyweight fight, and it's short notice for both of them, considering it's not the original matchup. Does change some things. Rafael Estevam, what do you think his game plan was going to be? He was going to shoot 30 takedowns and gas. It's what he does in every fight he's ever had. He shoots 30 takedowns and he gasses. So that's a much different matchup than Durden, who may not shoot any takedowns. He's just going to come and throw these big old overhand rights and push that pace and try to get a quick knockout, maybe collect a $50,000 bonus in the process, live or basically kill or be killed. Not enough for me to get behind. I will go with Allan Nascimento. Don't love the price, but again, that's just me complaining about money line stuff. I think Nascimento gets the job done one way or another, so I'll be using him.
We got Billy Elekana taking on Kevin Christian. Minus 260 for Elekana. Comeback on Christian plus 220. Who you got?
I mean, I really can't figure this fight, to be honest with you. Kevin Christian coming from the Contender Series. Like, what do you really know about this guy? 6'7". He's got a big old reach, big tall guy. A lot of the fights that he had on the regional scene before getting anywhere, they're just like not well documented. He has fought effectively twice in the last 6 years. The last 6 years, he's had 2 fights, which is one against Miguel Porto on LFA, where he was a plus 300 underdog, and one on the Contender Series against Francisco Mazzeo, where he got a triangle choke. And now you're in the UFC. Oh, and by the way, that was a year ago. So he's super inactive. When we saw him against Francesco on the Contender Series, the first round, he gets taken down. He's flat on his back. He's not trying to get to a hip. He's not trying to create space. He's not trying to shrimp. He just lies there flat on his back. The second round, Francesco's gassed. He's just so unbelievably gassed that pretty well anybody could beat him. And so yet he still gets a takedown, and this guy just throws up a triangle choke and gets it. You'll notice he's got a few wins by triangle choke on his record, which is like he's probably getting taken down against these tired guys, and he throws it up. It's his one little move. I'll admit the Miguel Porto fight on LFA. You can find anything on YouTube. It's not on Fight Pass. Yeah, he's a tall 6'7" guy. So against a low-level opponent, you lift the knee up, you get the knockout. I mean, I just don't really know a whole lot to say that this guy's either definitively bad. I don't think he's good, but maybe not enough to say he's definitively bad. He's been super inactive. Don't think his takedown defense is good. His ground game, he's looking for triangles, but I mean, he's probably not going to get it done at this day and age. All problematic. Billy Elekana, meanwhile, he's a Vegas guy. Trains over down at Extreme Couture. He spent time at Syndicate MMA. He's spent a lot of time just in Nevada in general. He's been at the Apex. He's all good there. He's got a lot more experience. This guy has a win over Brian Battle and Sullivan Colley from his amateur days. From his pro ranks, he's fought in decent guys like Daniel Compton. He's already fought against Bogdan Guskov in his UFC debut. Got a takedown over Guskov, had some control time. And then his last fight against Ivo Aslan, I faded him. I don't think Billy's any good. Billy doesn't look like he's gotten better in years. That with a full camp, he showed, he can strike a little bit. He can play to the outside. It's a terrible fight. But what you got Ibo is either not swinging at all or swinging at air. And you've got Billy, who's moving to the perimeter and kind of just like playing some range and ever so slightly outpointing him. Went 0 for 3 on takedowns. His wrestling looked trash. His cardio looked a little bit better, and he was able to kind of point fight from the outside. So this fight with Christian, I don't really think that Kevin Christian is going to fight from the outside for 15 minutes. I don't think he's really got the footwork to cut the cage off. I don't think he's got the offensive wrestling to take Billy down. I don't know that he's got the cardio to really push enough of a pace to tire Billy out. Just feels like Billy goes through the motions and probably sleepwalk his way through a win here, but I don't really want to bet it if we're being honest with you. He's my pick. I don't really trust it all that much.
Yeah, I don't really want to let Billy Elekana minus 250 ruin my week, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. But like watching Kevin Christian on tape, like the striking looks very, very wild. He spends way too much time on his back fishing for low probability submissions. Obviously, he's got a 6'7" frame, so like maybe that triangle works pretty well. Works pretty well on the regional scene, lower level type of guys. Francesco Mazzeo is also known as Gasbag, and he's on G Prime's F these guys list for losing to effectively like a lightweight in that Aldo Pereira dude over on Cage Wars. Cost us some parlays and stuff in a fight that he has every possible advantage. He gassed and wasn't able to do anything. So like that win looks even worse based on what Mazzeo has done since that fight. Yeah, Elekana's aside, but he's just so low volume that's like I don't really want to spend. Like I've got other bums to be laying chalk on this week, not guys that like get like 35, 40 significant strikes over the course of 15 minutes. Like I feel like that's kind of how that's how you lose things if it just turns into a bit of a slot fest. You get edged out. That would be my concern with like laying minus 260 Elekana this week, but he's going to be my pick. I'm sure he'll be in some sort of degenerate parlay, but not going to let him break me. I'll tell you that much. We got Chang Ho Lee taking on Timmy Cuamba, minus 120 for Cuamba, the comeback on Chang Ho Lee, plus 100. What are your thoughts?
I got Lee. I take Lee. Again, I'm not going to call this a dog play. It's plus 100. It's very much even money. I can see it going both ways. But it's too much narrative for Cuamba to win, in my opinion. It's too much. I'm guessing he's only 26 and he's from Las Vegas and he's probably getting better. But from what you see on tape, it's like Chang Ho Lee's the better fighter. It's no knock on Timmy Cuamba. I'm sure he's an excellent training partner and getting some good work in, but yeah, I'm just not really seeing it out of him. His contender series fight against Mateo Vogel, I thought he lost that fight. He got outstruck 67-43 and got taken down and got his back taken. I couldn't tell you how he won. Well, they gave it to him. Started with Balaji Oki. No way one judge gave him the round. How did one judge score that fight for him? But they did. Loses a split. So with Lucas Almeida, he lost the first 2 rounds pretty handily. The third round, he came alive. The third round, he got a couple takedowns, but just too little too late. His wrestling's not good. His striking's not good. It seems like he's got a little bit of pop to his shots, or, he's able to fight long range for a little bit of period of time, but ultimately he's just very much a generalist. He's generally okay at anything, but not good in any one area. Being that he's training with the best guys in the sport, being that he's right there in Las Vegas, being that he's still only 26 years old and he's already had 2 years fighting experience in the UFC, it's a high probability that he is getting better. And if he just got a little bit better, he might be able to beat Chang Ho Lee. I'm just not really seeing it. So we go to his last fight against Roberto Romero, right? Romero had made his debut in the UFC on short notice and whatever. He's not particularly good. In this fight, you got a Mexican brawler who decided to try to hold him up against the cage. And he actually had a lot of success doing it. He arguably won the first round. He racked up over 2 minutes of control time just clinching him up against the cage. So when I think about Chang Ho Lee, his entire game is clinch you up against the cage and fish for takedowns, man. His last fight against Gortavius Romeus, he goes 2 for 4 on takedowns. So only shot 4, got 2 of them. His fight against Zhao Long, he goes 2 for 9 on takedowns. He shot 9 of them. This fight with this Demirci Dawupasi on road to the octagon, he went 4 for 13 on takedowns. he shoots a lot of takedowns, and a lot of his best moves are getting you up against the cage and then fishing for double legs, trips, everything up against the cage. Cuamba looks like he's vulnerable to getting out-muscled in the clinch, pressed up into the fence, and if you can fish for takedowns, you might be able to get them. If you get them, you're on top. Not only that, he'll scramble lots. He'll get reversed, he'll get taken down, but immediately he's just springing back up, causing it to scramble, causing a move in transition, and getting on top himself. So it's a taxing style. His cardio checks out pretty good. His wrestling and his pace is pretty good. He's not one of these take you down and do nothing with it. He'll land 40, 50, 60 significant strikes if need be. Just feel like he's got the style to go out there and edge Cuamba. So he's a slight betting underdog, but pretty well an even money fight. I'm just going to go with Lee on this one. Again, Cuamba, capable that I'm going to look stupid because this guy just looks so much better. He's taking some time off and he's working with the new strength and conditioning coach, and he wrestles with great guys in Las Vegas all the time, possibly. But he's had 2 years to get better in the UFC, and I've not seen it to this point. So I'm going to go with Lee, who I think is more of a finished product. And although his style is not the most fan-friendly at times, he's a dog on a bone. That kind of style is going to win fights here. So I'm going to pick Lee.
I want to just see some sort of, how long has Lee been over in America for? Because honestly, in fights like this, where we're in Vegas, I would like to see the guy in town for a week or two. I feel like that type of stuff kind of gets overlooked in the Performance Institute as of 15 hours ago. I'm just on his Instagram right now.
His last fight was in the Apex, so he knows this setting.
Yeah, Cortavius is an absolute scrub.
Yeah, he's a total scrub. And he TKO'd him in the second round. He kicked his ass, as you're supposed to do against them.
Yeah, he looked good against Cortavius. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's probably a properly priced pick 'em. The volume is on Chang Ho Lee's side, but I think the striking technique on Cuamba's side, and we've just seen Chang Ho Lee kind of exchange wrestling, go back and forth with like a lower level of competition. Like at least with Cuamba, like he's in there with Bolaji Oki, got a split decision. It was low volume, wasn't pretty, but I don't know. I'm gonna go Cuamba. Cuamba's the pick for me. But I don't know. I don't have too much conviction. I will just say that. You know me, I'll wait for weigh-ins. I want to see these guys stand next to each other, and maybe I change my pick. But like another fight that like I can't see myself getting heavily invested in it because at the end of the day, I don't really know. I don't really know how it's going to shake out. Donte Johnson taking on Dumas. We got Donte Johnson fighting at 185 for the first time in his career. He's a minus 350 favorite. The comeback on Sedriques Dumas is plus 285. The bad tape that you'll find on Donte Johnson is like, this fight back here, Anthony Pettis FC. He was fighting a heavyweight back then. He on this Fury card, I forget who posted the parlay for it that week, but my God, he went out there against James Ford, who was probably a guy who should probably cut a little bit more weight, but absolutely flatlined him. This guy, if you go onto his Instagram, at 185, he's looking very athletic, very strong. There's big time question marks about him if he gets out of the first round and so on and so forth. Like he's basically just knocking dudes' heads off and doing it pretty easy. That fight on Contender Series was at it was heavyweight. He came in at 209. It was basically light heavyweights that decided not to cut weight because Abby came in at like 224 or something like that. He's giving up a ton of size there, no problem. I don't know. He seems like the absolute real deal. I actually have him in a couple parlays that like I made earlier in the week, or not even earlier in the week, like literally after like last week's event. More up in this minus 265, minus 300 range. It keeps dropping. Eventually, you're gonna hit like a cutoff point where there is question marks about him. But my general opinion about this fight, when it comes down to it, is like I don't think Sedriques Dumas is the guy to teach him those lessons. We're going to find out those questions about if this guy gets extended outside of the first round. But this guy seems like an athlete. He seems to be taking his career and life seriously at this point in time. Minus 350 is steep, but I expect him to probably knock Dumas' head off and do it early. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, I would hope he does. And like you're saying, get it done early, because I am worried about Donte Johnson getting out of the first round, being that he's never been outside of the first round ever. He's a first round dynamo. So the way he fights, which is highly explosive and winging murderous hooks from the sides, that is a taxing style. And he's never been beyond the first round. So if Dumas can find a way to just extend him or survive those early exchanges, it is going to be problematic. Dumas has never been knocked out. He's been TKO'd twice. But in both of them, the Ruiz fight, he got poked in the eye. The ref waves it because he's not defending himself, and immediately he protests. And in his fight against Mike Keogh, he gets dropped. He doesn't protect himself. The fight gets waved off, and he protests right away. He's not chinny. It's just when he gets swarmed with punches, he does not intelligently defend himself. He kind of like turtles up. He shells up, and then you're saying, defend yourself, defend yourself, defend yourself, defend yourself. You stop it. He's still conscious. The fight's over. I think that's what's going to happen here. Is Johnson is a swarmer. Johnson's a guy that doesn't just throw 1-1-2s. He throws 3, 4, 5, 6 punches in a row, and he loves these overhand clubbing type shots because he's only 5'8". Mm-hmm. How he fought at heavyweight, I honestly couldn't tell you. He's really not a heavyweight, but he's been slowly getting himself in shape. If you go back all the way to his regional scene, his very first career fight, 257. The next one, 256. Then he weighs 261. Then he weighs 234. Then he weighs 218. Then he weighs 210. Then he got on the Contender Series at 205. Now he's dropping down to 185. He's only 26 years old. This guy finds the right weight class. Yeah, he's got some absolute brute-ish power. He's got more than enough athleticism to really get to the target early. It's that I'm worried that if you do not get that first round kill, that's not a sustainable style to fight at. So because it's working, that's what he's going to try to do. If it works here, great, but eventually he's going to run into someone that's going to flat out have his number. He's also at a very small gym in Wisconsin. He's not getting some premier rounds in. He doesn't fight against a whole lot of big guys. It's a bit of a problem, right? Cedric Dumas, meanwhile, is that, yeah, he's just not serious enough. I don't think he takes his career seriously. He's arrested every other month. He's got domestics. He's not the smartest guy going. And then when he fights, he's super low volume. Like, by the numbers, he averages just over 2 strikes landed per minute, but he got outworked and taken down by Josh Frem. He got outworked by Abu Azatar against Dennis Chulin. This is the biggest easy win of the division, right? He only managed 49 significant strikes and had gotten taken down 3 times. There's nothing redeemable here about him. I think Johnson does what baby Mikey O did, which is get to the target, hit him with that clubbing overhand right, cause him to stumble to the ground, and just swarm him. He might be okay. He might be shelled up waiting for you to tire, but the ref's not going to sit there and let him watch and take a beating for 3-4 minutes. They're going to stop it. People will say it's an early stoppage, but Johnson will get his hand raised. Minus 350, I don't love it. And if you want to live bet this thing, it'll be Dumas after round 1, but I think Johnson gets it done in round 1, so he's the play for me as well.
We got the big Norm Dumont taking on Ketlen Vieira. Big Norm is about a minus 160 favorite to come back on Ketlen plus 140. Who you got?
This is where we get into the greasy part of the card. There's 4 fights left. 3 of them are women's fights. Now, what people don't realize is that Norma Dumont's got 260,000 Instagram followers for good reason. I think she's got more than the rest of the card combined, except for Elise Ardelean, who's got like 650,000 Instagram followers. So Big Norm and Elise are on the card, buried on the prelims to bring in some type of fan attention. I'm not sure. And I will say this, Norma Dumont's ranked, she's like number 6 in the division. Ketlen Vieira is like number 4 in the division. And yet they're curtain jerking to the likes of Cedric Dumas, Timmy Cuamba, Billy Elekana, Daniel Frunza. Like, what? They're actually ranked competitors in the division. How come they got the shot?
Sell some Fight Pass subscriptions, buddy.
I guess so.
It's gotta be. That's gotta be the reason why they would do that. I don't know.
So weird.
They'd be like, well, their target demographic doesn't have a Fight Pass account, so maybe those people will buy Fight Pass. Like, I don't know. I don't know what goes on at those meetings when they try to. I mean, how do you really stack this card in terms of a bout order? Like, there's there's a million ways you could do it. They could change this on its head, and nobody would really bat an eye this week because like
who
it's
knew?
all a bunch of spare parts, really.
Spare parts. Well, in this case, spare parts. I'd love to get all up in those spare parts with Norma Dumont, but I got to unfortunately go with Ketlen Vieira, the other side here. Big Norm loves the clinch warfare game. She loves trying to mix in some takedowns here and there, but Ketlen Vieira is super hard to take down, man. She's just very good in the clinch. She's very strong, physical herself. We call Big Norm for a reason, right? But she's actually going to be a smaller fighter here to Big Ketlen because that's kind of what she does. Clinch warfare, up against the cage, low volume. The only girls that have ever taken her down, Sarah McMahon took her down once on 5 attempts. Let me get the exact number. Yeah, Ketlen Vieira took her down like once on 5 attempts. And she's a former title challenger, right? Sarah McMahon, former title challenger. She got taken down by, I think I got the wrong thing up here, sorry. She got taken down by Miesha Tate, right? Miesha Tate's a former champion and a former wrestler. She got taken down by Sarah McMahon, who's a former silver medalist and a title challenger. And she's been taken down by Kayla Harrison, who's a current UFC champion and a former Olympic gold medalist. But Kayla Harrison got her down twice on 8 attempts. Miesha Tate took her down one time on like 6 attempts. Yeah, one for 6. It's like she's got 90% takedown defense. She's pretty sturdy. She will keep it upright. What I would normally believe from this fight is Norm will shoot a few takedowns and get stuffed. Ketlen may get a few takedowns, but it's mostly just going to be up against the cage. Ketlen's a little bit bigger. Ketlen works her from the clinch, wins 2 of the 3 rounds, wins the fight. What throws me off completely is Norma Dumont's last fight against Irene Aldana, where I didn't know she was capable of striking like that, Paul. I had no idea.
She 0 for 5 on takedowns, but put up a crazy amount of
threw
volume.
300 strikes, landed 159 of them.
She's dating what's his face now? He throws a lot of volume too. Her boyfriend.
Well, good.
You were on her Instagram. You should know these things.
Yeah, I should know these.
What's his name?
I was actually on her OnlyFans.
Don't make me look up everything.
Not her Instagram. She's Norma Dumont's got a good OnlyFans cracking. And again,
Marco Tullio.
All right. Marco Tullio's got volume for days. Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, listen, when you look at her, she went 15 minutes with Jermaine Durand and landed 11 strikes. Chelsea Chandler took her down. It's a bad look. She's landing less than 50 strikes. You're going the distance with girls that really aren't on the level of anything top 5, top 10, and you're basically just going through the motions in a lot of them. But that fight with Irene Aldana, she 0 for 5 in takedowns, and she ain't taking Ketlen down. But if Ketlen doesn't take her down and she doesn't take Ketlen down, and this thing's forced to be a volume game, she showed that she can actually throw and land and fight for 15. And Ketlen is very low volume. So
that's my concern about actually putting money on Ketlen. I am hesitant to put money on Norma, but like if wrestling just gets negated here, I think Norma's got the better volume at the very least, probably the better boxing. That's why I side slightly to Big Norm here. Maybe it's because I gave her that nickname many years ago. Maybe I'm a little bit biased.
It's a great nickname. And then they're both girls that are sometimes inconsistent, and you can just point out one fight and it scares you off it. The one for Ketlen Vieira is the Pani Kianzad fight, which Paul has talked about in the past, where she's getting beat by Pani Kianzad and the takedowns bail her out. So yeah, you wouldn't want to be in that spot. The one that you want to look at for Norma Dumont is either the Chelsea Chandler fight, but more so the Macy Chiasson fight, where she got taken down 6 times by Macy Chiasson. So it's just a clinch warfare battle, but I'm gonna think Ketlen edges it out. Neither of us are certain. It's women's MMA. I'll go with Vieira.
And Big Norm's. Oh, how do you think she got the name Big Norm? By missing women's bantamweight. So missing weight on Friday, very much in play for Big Norm.
Oh, for sure. I think she missed weight twice.
Oh yeah, she loves a good weight miss on Friday morning. We got Alice Ardelean taking on Montserrat Canelo Ruiz. The biggest favorite on the card, Alice Ardelean. That's the state of the UFC that we're at right now. And here's the thing. Neck tat, as I gave her the nickname. a while ago. Like that hasn't been fighting for. Hasn't been like I thought. I thought they cut her because she hadn't been around for a long time. Nektan does one thing. Ruiz does one thing. I'll say the actual name. I'm just writing down the time code here. She does one thing, and the cat's out of the freaking bag at this point, right? She's gonna try to get a body lock takedown of some sort, maybe a head and arm throw, and then she's gonna basically hold the scarf hold and try to hold that for dear life for as long as humanly possible. If you're prepared for that, she doesn't have anything else in her arsenal. And I did bet her in her debut against Vlismas, and she over and over doing the exact same move and holding that position. And when you're, in fairness, in that position, even with like modern reffing and everything like that, I mean, it's really hard to get stood up. It's really hard to get stood up. Even if you're not getting damage, if you're, controlling somebody's back or controlling somebody from side control like that, you're not going to get stood up. But like the cat is out of the bag on this at this point. And, we may make fun of like Alice's social media presence. It's a bit weird. It's not exactly my kink, but if you're into that, cool, whatever. But credit where credit's due, and it's not exact. We're talking lower level of opponents here. But that last fight against Rayon dos Santos putting up 154 significant strikes. I mean, that's why I have Alice Ardelean in parlays already at minus 400. If the price wants to get better, I'll add her into more parlays this week. Because, you have one thing from what we have seen from Ruiz on tape. She does one thing. If you're prepared for that one thing, I haven't seen anything on tape to lead me to believe that she has anything else to offer other than, the head and arm throw and then holding, scarf hold for as long as she possibly can. You're ready for those two things. I mean, I feel like Alice Ardelean absolutely boxes her up. So, me, love CF dot model, everything like that, but I can't pull the trigger on Conejo this week. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the exact same thing is that she didn't look bad in the Vlismas fight when the head and arm throw was working every single time, and she racked up 9 minutes of control time from the scarf hold. But that's really her only move. She's 5 feet tall, so she just never really gets to the target. Doesn't have the shortest reach on the card, but just too short, not able to get into these prolonged striking exchanges. She actually averages, in UFC stats and numbers, it's not everything. She averages 0.79 significant strikes landed per minute. So 79% of a single strike landed per minute, which ends up being about 4 strikes landed per round. It's just not enough. Shockingly enough, she's actually the second lowest volume person on the card. The first one being, by the numbers, Kevin Christian, who lands 3/4 of a strike per round.
He's only had one fight.
That's why it's a little misleading. He's only had the one fight. In this case, Ruiz has had enough body of work where it's like she's trying to punch her way into a clinch to toss you, and that's about it. Mora's a little bit bigger than Alice Ardelean. So, I mean, when you watch that fight, it's like, oh my God, she's twice the size. She can't get anything done. Amarine's jiu-jitsu is too good. Amanda Lemos is too big. Ardelean is going to just have to do exactly that. She's well put together. Like, she's physically strong. It's just, here's a girl that got into striking, got into martial arts by her own accord to lose a few pounds, as a fitness thing. She's got an Instagram following. She's a comedian. She's got different things going on. That this is like something I do for fun. And doing it for fun gets you beat by Shauna Bannon and Melissa Martinez. Shauna Bannon's 2-2 in the UFC. Melissa Martinez is like 1-3 in the UFC. Ryan Dos Santos is 0-3 in the UFC. Montserrat Ruiz is 0-3 in the UFC. This is the bottom of the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
But if you allow her to perform at the bottom of the barrel, she's going to be getting better. Paul mentioned the Ryan Dos Santos fight. Ryan went 1 for 6, right? But the one, it was like 16 seconds. Ardelean just explodes up. And Ryan, although a former 105-pounder, is a former Invicta champ and a BJJ black belt. She couldn't get nothing going with the grappling against Ardelean. So now against Conejo Ruiz, Well,
Who
if
probably also is an atom weight, let's face it.
was most definitely also an atom weight. If she's struggling to get those takedowns and maintain top control time, then she's going to get bullied around here. Ardelean's 3 inches taller than her. I think it's the same reach, or maybe just a 1 inch reach advantage. But the height, the size, the muscle density, the fact that Ruiz has fought, or she's not fought in. It's been 2 years since she's fought last. Ardelean, meanwhile, has gotten all 3 of her UFC fights in that same period that Ruiz has been away from the sport. Yeah, she's catching her at the right time. It's women's MMA, and then it's Elise Ardelean, but the UFC's figured this one out. They're selling some Fight Pass subscriptions, and they understand how social media works, and likes and shares and algorithms, and it's in their best interest for Ardelean to win a fight. Why would Ruiz possibly be still on the roster? In case we need a gimme win for somebody at 115 pounds, and we've designated that Elise Ardelean's that girl. So I'm actually on the same page as you here. I got her to win.
Seung Ko takes on Phil Rowe. Ko is a minus 190 favorite. The comeback on Phil Rowe is plus 165. Who you got here?
Everybody's guilty of this, is that sometimes just the guy's last fight is, you'll just get fixated on it and you'll forget about, they're really not that good. But that last fight, oh my God, they looked awesome. So good, so good. Alexander Volkov looked awesome in his fight against Cyril Gane. So Volkov's the man and Gane's a bum. Then one fight later, it's like Cyril Gane is the uncrowned champ of the UFC and Volkov is a bum, right? That's how fast opinions change. Seok Ko, when you watch him on the regional scene, his hands are really low, man. And although he's got a bit of a karate style, judo background, but a karate style, he doesn't move his head out of the way quick enough. Like, he's there to get knocked out. In his fight with Igor Cavalcanti, he walks into plenty of punches, but his cardio looks good. His pressure's pretty good. And like, he's sneaky good up against the cage. And then I faded him against Oban Elliott, another one of those guys that's on the dead to me list for 2025, because of this fight. He evaporated this guy up against the cage. He punches his way to back you up, and he clears the distance, pins you up against the cage, digs underhooks, and that's where his judo becomes highly effective. Very good with trip takedowns. He's very good with, just being able to maintain top pressure, control time, rack you up, smash you with a couple elbows, hit a mat return, and really just stick to you like glue. Oban Elliott had really not been dominated by anybody like that, and it was a near perfect performance. Rowe, meanwhile, is a poor man's Neil Magny. His way of winning is in the third round when you are gassed out. He'll turn it alive. Angelusa probably was winning 2-0. But the third round, Luce's mouth guard pops out and Rowe just turns it on and puts him away. His fight with Nico Price, he was getting outstruck 110-63. In the third round, with a minute and a half left, he brings it on back. Jason Witt, he lost the first round, got taken down 4 times. Witt gassed, he put him away. Orion Koski actually had a whole lot of success with him, took him down and controlled him in the first round. He put him away in the second. If you've got suspect cardio and you got suspect durability, Phil Rowe can drag you into deeper waters. That's him at his best. Him at his worst, he can't stuff the takedown, man. He's very tall and on paper, 56% takedown defense, but Angelusa taking him down 3 times, getting there easy. Jake Matthews never shot a takedown until the third round. And in the third round, he got it real easy. Guys that have taken him down, Jason Witt 4 times, Ryan Koski twice, Gabe Green twice, Leon Shabazian once. He tends to give up a lot of takedowns because he's a BJJ black belt. He's long, he's gangly, he's comfortable off his back. You got to be going out there and stuffing him. The thing with Ko is that he's going to be clinched up with you the entire time, up against the cage, pursuing takedowns. When you're 6'3", you have a high center of gravity. These guys up against the cage are going to dig underhooks, and they're going to peel you down. So let's just say, Rowe's ready for that because he's a black belt. So when it does hit the ground, he'll protect himself. The longer it goes, he's making you work. Third round, you start to tire. I don't think this guy's going to start to tire. He does not look like he started to tire against Cavalcanti. He did not look like he was going to tire against Oban Elliott. So Puncher's chance is still on the table. Rowe hits sufficiently hard, and Ko's been knocked out twice. I think both of his career losses are by knockout. The problem with that is that Rose not a one-hitter quitter. He's a you're tired and he hits you with a 60 punch combination and you go down type of puncher. So just catching him with one shot because his hands are too low is probably not there. A whole body of work of making him work and stuffing takedowns and clearing space. It'd be a whole full 15-minute performance. I ain't seeing it. So I actually got Co. Co loses this week, no matter what his placement on my PRP is. If he loses this week, I'm probably losing money because I'm going to fall into this trap and I'll be overexposed to him. But because of that last fight with Oban Elliott, where he just showed like it's a cancerous type of style for a lot of guys. And I don't think Phil Rose, tall, lengthy, outlast you style is going to have a whole lot of success here against Co. So for me, he's the pick. I just need him to fight smart than for a $50,000 bonus. Screw the bonus, get the second win bonus instead. Go for that. I think he gets the decision. Or
where Co has struggled. Where Co has struggled is with the durability. We have seen him on the regional scene take some shots and get absolutely flatlined by like pretty low level of competition. But yeah, the takedowns should be there. Obviously, the size there's going to be a big size disparity between the two of these guys. So the minus 200s that are on, I wouldn't be shocked if this is another fight that some money comes in on fight day. I mean, you just have to look at like certain numbers here. 80-inch reach versus 71-inch reach. You know, Phil Rowe is 5 inches taller. I would be pretty surprised if Co goes up to like minus 250, to be perfectly honest. There seems to be healthy amount of action coming in on the Rose side, but I'm with you that I think the wrestling will prevail. And on top, just to tag on to like what you were saying about Seung Hyun Ko and his, you know, the fact that he's not going to gas out. I mean, against Oban Elliott, he turned it up in round 3. The striking numbers, he had like 35 significant strikes in round 3, like over 4 minutes of control time in round 3. Like as the fight wore on, he got even more dominant. So definitely not going away. Phil Rowe KO, I suppose, is in play. You know, that is how Co has struggled, but won't be for me this week. I'm with you. I like Seung Hyun Ko to win a probably wrestling-based dominating decision. Finally, we got Talita Alencar taking on Ariane Carnelossi. Alencar minus 210. The comeback on Carnelossi plus 180. Who you got?
I got Alencar. I just don't think anybody's looking to really back Carnelossi here, but it feels a little bit dangerous being that one, Carnelossi's jacked. She's very physically strong. When you watch that last fight with Piera Rodriguez, certainly she got bailed out by the DQ. But the first round, she's being aggressive. She's winging some hooks. She's trying to make something happen. But yeah, she's just got very big limitations to her game, especially when the fights hit the ground. Overall, she's got a 14% takedown defense. 14%. And that's mostly because of the Lupi Godinez fight. But Lupi went 8 for 8 on takedowns. That's problematic. Piera Rodriguez, meanwhile, I mean, she got a takedown at the end of the first round. Like, loses the first 3 minutes of the fight. Gets a takedown. Carnelossi can't do anything off her back. Second round, she doesn't even need a takedown. She front kicks her in the face, hits her with a left hook that folds her over, gets on top and headbutts her. You can't even script this stuff. No idea what
Rodriguez. It won me money, but it was one of my worst bets that cashed that I can ever recall.
I had Carnelossi as well, but I knew this is foregone.
Oh, it was a horrible bet. Sometimes horrible bets win.
Yeah, she's tiring out. She can't stuff a takedown, and she's getting worked by Rodriguez. And, you know, she ended up making the thing work. But overall, it's like, I think that is a big hole in her game, is that her cardio is not great. She's a little bit older now. Her takedown defense is a problem. And at 14%, it's not cutting it. The thing with Alencar is, even though her takedown accuracy is only 20%, she's definitely not a wrestler, and she's not. She's willing to shoot a lot of takedowns. Against Stephanie Luciano the first time, it's like 4 for 14. Against Ryan Dos Santos, she went 1 for 9. Against Stephanie Luciano the second time, she went 1 for 10. And then against Vanessa Demopoulos the last time out, 4 for 5. Vanessa couldn't stuff takedowns, so a few is all you need. Against Carnelossi, realistically, she needs 2 takedowns. 1 in the first, 1 in the second. Mm-hmm. That's the end of this fight. And she averages that she'll shoot 10 to 15 takedowns a fight. At least 2 are going to stick. This is going to happen. Carnelosi's strong the first round. She might shuck off 1, 2, maybe 3 of them. Eventually, it'll be an outside trip. It'll be you try to sprawl and it leads to a scramble and she gets on top. It's going to be, she hits a duck under and she's able to get her way to the back. The fight is going to hit the ground at some point, and Alan Carr should take over. I don't like that she's this big favorite and she's going to supposedly walk through her and it's easy money and it's, women's MMA fight, but the takedown should be there. And as soon as the fight does hit the ground, that's when you'll really see the big advantage here is the control time from Toledo Alencar, who's just far and beyond better in the actual grappling department. So for me, it's Alencar, even though Alencar has a 58-inch reach, and that may be the shortest reach in the UFC roster right now. So there is no plan B. Let me get that out of the way here. There's only a plan A, and similar to Isaac Dulgarian, we're rolling that plan A to work. Get me some takedowns and some control time.
Yeah, unless Carnelosi's made significant improvements to her takedown defense and her get-up game, which seems almost non-existent. I guess against Godness, she did get back up, but she gets taken down over and over. She's very, very intimidating to look at. She's got big muscles, everything like that. But the technique's pretty stiff and rigid, and yeah, very, very flat on her back. Not much of a zero submissions kind of to get back to her feet or anything like that, to force scrambles. Pretty much non-existent once she gets down there. The Alencar performance against Demopoulos is kind of what I expect to see here as well. So Alencar, I haven't looked at props yet, but I'm not even going to really bother looking at it. Alencar, begrudgingly, look at me picking all these women's favorites these days. What's happened to me? But the CF dot model just doesn't work all the time.
It did last week, but no, I hear what you're saying.
What happened last week?
Well,
we were all. And I just don't blindly take it anymore. But Mizuki by decision. Mizuki was by far my biggest bet of the card. And yeah, that made up for a whole bunch of other bad bets that kind of happened.
Well, you were big on Walter Walker anytime submission plus 140. So yeah, it really wasn't that bad of a card, but could have been.
No, it wasn't that bad, but it could have been better. They can always be better, Cody. I always want more.
True. Always want.
Anyway, we're just about out of time. But before we go, hit with the BRP.
This week, we're going with Mean Steve Garcia, Waldo Cortes-Acosta, Themba Gorimbo, Isaac Dulgarian, Daniel Frunza, dog number 1. Allan Nascimento, Billy Elekana, Chang Ho Lee, technically dog number 2, Donte Johnson, Ketlen Vieira, dog number 3, Elise Ardelean, Seo Kyung Ko, and Toledo Alencar. So a little bit short on the underdogs, but it's just kind of one of those cards. It's random. The biggest favorite on the card is only minus 400, and it's Elise Ardelean. So it's a pretty competitive card when you think about it. You just got to get the winners more than anything, which, I'm feeling pretty good about. And then on top of that, I will have a props and weigh-in show on the Friday for anybody that's joined over to the Bookie Beatdown Discord. So maybe we can go and find some nice props. That was another good thing about last week. The props were spicy. Sometimes the parlays aren't going to work out. Sometimes one guy's trusted to do it for everybody and they blow it. And if you can get some straight bets, some singles, couple overs, couple props, couple whatever, just kind of diversify your portfolio a little bit. Leaves you a little bit less exposed to one guy shitting in the apple pie and ruining everything for you. So, that's my ticket this week, Paul. Hopefully she comes through, and I will see the Bookie Beatdown guys from the Discord and the Patreon on Friday.
Yes, sir. All right, that is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody, I'm Paul, saying goodbye and good luck.